And we are back here on Big Board Sports. Nice to have you with us Wednesday morning. Baseball season is really right around the corner. These spring training games are going to end. The real season is just about set to go. Tim Kurkjian joins us as promised from ESPN. Tim, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm well, Roger, and it's time to start the real games, believe me. I saw a veteran player the other day that dug out in Florida, and he just kind of shook his head and looked at me and said, can we please play a game that matters? And that's what, most players feel like this time of spring training. Most of them are ready to start the season. I say let's get that going as fast as possible.
No doubt. I get to this time, and we're watching the hoop and all of that, but I'm certainly ready for these spring training games to end, and let's get rolling here. Hey, before I get into all of that, how about this WBC? Has it become more popular? It seems like more people are paying attention to it. Team USA winning last night over Japan 2-1. They'll play Puerto Rico tonight in the championship game at Dodger Stadium. Is the popularity of the WBC, Tim, grown?
Yes, it's really reached a new level this year. This is the fourth version of the WBC, and I think it's finally taken hold. And let's be honest about this, it's in part because the United States team has reached the finals for the first time, and when that team is engaged, all sorts of good things happen. But there have been so many good games in the WBC, and the emotion and the energy that we see from virtually all the teams, it has been really great. I mean, that Puerto Rican team, my goodness, they're not only are they spectacularly talented, but they are so into this. It's just wonderful to watch. And we talked to Alex Cora last night on Baseball Tonight. He's one of our former colleagues, and he pretty much put the Puerto Rican team together. And he told us that 2 years ago, Yadier Molina would call him like all the time and say, we got to get this guy on the team, and we got to play this guy at this position. And Alex had to say, Yadi, it's in 2 years from now. We can't discuss this all the time because that's how into it he was, and I find that that's how into it all the teams are, and that includes the United States team. And again, that's when you know it's turned the corner, when the U.S. team is playing with this kind of passion.
Who do you give the edge to tonight in the championship game?
Well, it's really hard to say, but Puerto Rico hasn't lost yet. They have a really good team, and they have an extra day's rest. So I'll give them the slight edge. But, again, watching the United States team play, and with Marcus Stroman tonight, who gets pumped up for a game in Tropicana Field on a Tuesday night during the season, he's really going to be pumped up about this. It really should be fun to watch.
Tim, the flip side of it, though, is there are injuries, and Didi Gregorius in the WBC playing for his country, Netherlands, suffers a shoulder injury, and he's probably going to be out until May. So there is that part of it. Joe Girardi, obviously supportive, but boy, you don't like to see guys who are key contributors to your team get hurt playing in the WBC.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate. Now, obviously, he could have gotten injured just as easily in a spring training game. But this is why teams are hesitant to let their players go to the WBC, especially the star players. And it is a danger because there is no perfect time to play this. But the bottom line is, what are the Yankees going to do now? This guy's become a pretty good offensive player. He's a very good defensive shortstop, and he's a critical guy in their team. And they're going to miss him terribly for a month. As we know, they've sent Gleyber Torres to the minor leagues because they don't want to rush him. He's going to start at Double-A. They could move Starlin Castro from second base to shortstop, but I'm not sure that's ideal. He needs every day to continue to learn how to play second. There have been some rumors out of Arizona that the Yankees might be interested in Nick Ahmed, who is a very good defensive shortstop and would be a terrific fill-in for the Yankees until Gregorius is ready. But they have to do something. It's a really important position, and they're going to miss a very good player at it for at least a month.
Tim, the name Taylor Wade has popped up too, 22 years old, although I don't think he's played higher than the Double-A level. But what do you know or make of Taylor Wade here possibly filling in to start the season?
Well, that certainly is a possibility also, and they're looking everywhere. And I found it interesting that Rob Refsnyder, who's a pretty good young infielder and played the outfield before, and he's got some ability. His name apparently didn't come up in a lot of discussions the other day, hey, we could use him at second and move Castro or play him at short. So there are a lot of options out there. And the Yankees believe, and I think they're right, that they're a contending team. So whether it's Wade or somebody else, they have to find a solution here. They can't just fake it at shortstop for a month and think that we're going to stay afloat in a competitive division.
Do you really think this young Yankee team, we're talking with Tim Kurkjian this morning, ESPN, a little baseball as we close in on the start of the season. Do you think the Yankees can, I hate to say sneak up on some teams, but it is a young team and you never know with a young team, but they could get that pitching staff going here and fill the final two spots in the rotation. Is this a team that could surprise a few people?
I think it is, but I don't think they're a playoff team because the division is very good, and actually the league is pretty good. There are a bunch of really good wild card teams out there. So they've been looking towards 2018 for several years as the year that they really turn the corner as an organization, and I'm going to stick by that. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. They're going to be much better next year. And in 2019, they're going to be really, really good. And moving forward, with all these young guys and with all the money they've saved, the Yankees have a chance to build something really special here. But I think 2018-19 is when it really starts to move. And this year is another one of those years that, hey, if we contend and somehow make the playoffs, great. But we're building for something bigger and more important.
Is the team to beat, in your mind, without question, Boston in that division?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I love their lineup, even without David Ortiz. Chris Sale, no walks, 10 strikeouts yesterday against the Yankees. He adds just another element to that, what should be a very good rotation. But, of course, the big question is how injured is David Price? I don't think we're going to see him. And what's he going to be like when he comes back? He's been a pretty healthy guy, and now he's got a bit of an elbow, so that's a problem. But, yes, I'll say the Red Sox are the team to beat even without David Price in the month of April.
Tim, from one New York team to another, we talk about the Mets and their young arms. What do you think the Mets can do this season?
Well, if everything works out, they're good to win the division, and if everything works out, they're good enough to go back to the World Series. That's how good I think the Mets are. However, we're still not sure about the health of those starting pitchers. So far, for the most part, so good. And that is tremendous. But they need to know whether Lucas Duda can hold up at first base physically. They need to know if David Wright is going to give them anything at third base. They need to know if Jay Bruce can play first base at all, and is he a middle-of-the-order hitter or a championship caliber team? These are a bunch of the questions that the Mets have to answer. Probably more questions than your average contender. But again, if everything falls right, I really like the Mets, and I think they'll be a very good team.
And I look at what's going on in spring training, not that that's the B end here, because we know you can be really good in spring training and it not carry over, but I think the Nats are going to be a handful.
Well, I've seen the Nationals, and I really like them. It's hard not to like them with the talent they have, but so many teams out there have a few question marks. And now Max Scherzer is not going to be ready on opening day. We'll see if that finger injury affects him at all. I don't think it will, but we have to see who their closer is going to be. That's very much up in the air. We have to see if Bryce Harper is going to become the Bryce Harper of 2015. Is Ryan Zimmerman going to hit? I mean, there are a bunch of questions with that team also, but I think they have more questions than the Mets do, and I think they're going to win the East and be a handful if everyone's healthy in October.
Tim, when it's all said and done, could it be Cleveland and Chicago again?
Well, that's what I think, but I also know after covering baseball for all these years that what we see in spring training is crucial to what we're going to learn for the rest of the year, but a million things change after spring training. But I can tell you from just from what I saw this spring, I think the Indians and the Cubs are the best team in each league, and I wouldn't be surprised if they played in the World Series again. But in baseball, there are no guarantees. This is a sport not to be predicted, and it should be great no matter what happens.
Tim, always a pleasure. Thanks for a few minutes here on ESPN in Albany, and we'll get back in touch as we close in here on the start of a new season.
Okay, Roger. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. That's Tim Kurkjian, ESPN baseball analyst. Love talking some baseball with him and a lot more as we get set for the start. And, of course, we are your home for New York Yankee baseball right here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio.